All right, welcome back everybody. Today's going to be an ambitious one, at least for me. This is going to be If 6 Was 9 by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. And just one of those epic early era Jimi songs that, for me anyway, was one of my favorites right out of the gate when I started playing when I was 16 or 15, of blues-based rock, plus there's all these crazy jazzy sounding chords in there. And doing a deep dive on that, I've found out some very interesting things about these chords, and we'll share the details about that. So I'm going to go through everything soup to nuts that Jimi is doing. I'm not going to go note for note all the way through all of the soloing and stuff, but I'm going to show you all the chords. I'll show you where he's playing the solos and why he's playing what he's playing and why that works. And again, talk about the composition of these great jazzy chords. So if this is the kind of thing that you're into and you haven't done so yet, I invite you to jump down and click subscribe and ring the bell. The bell lets you know when I drop new content, which I do every single week. All my videos have chapters in them, so you can jump right to the part of the lesson that you want to see and bypass what you don't. And if you're looking for ways to support the channel, I appreciate that. There's thanks, which is like throwing a tip in the tip jar, or you can join my Patreon page where I've got chord charts and tabs for all the lessons I do on YouTube, just like this one. And the links are all in the description, so check it out. All right, so If 6 Was 9, this is a fantastic, fantastic song. It's Jimi, it's early Jimi, so I'm going with the Stratocaster in terms of gear. And for me, to my ear, it sounds best or closest to the record when I'm on the middle pickup for all the rhythm stuff. And I sort of throw it up on the neck when I'm doing the leads. That sounds more right to me too. I'll have links in the description for what I've got going on for all my gear settings for all this. But yeah, so I'm a Strat running into a couple things, going into my Super Reverb. And here's the sound I got. All right, number one, many of you are going to be a little irritated with me on this, okay? So on the record, he is not tuned to standard pitch. He is not even tuned to E flat. Actually, he's a little south of E flat. He's in between E flat and D, really. So I've got my guitar tuned to that. Because that's what he did on the record, and that's what my ear wants to hear. All the chord shapes and places where I've got my fingers, if you want to play this in E, just do it in all those spots and it'll work out great. But otherwise, here is the tuning that I've got going on. If you want to listen to this, hit pause, tune your guitar to it, and then hit play again. But here you go. There you go. So there's your E. All right, so it opens up based off of an E bluesy riff, right? It's off of that sort of set of notes, and he's singing along with it, right? And the timing is interesting when he comes on. So before he starts singing, it's going to come up with this D to E note thing that starts it off. Right? And the timing is, for my ear anyway, I'm sort of counting 4, but really I'm counting 8 if you want to think about it. Right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4. Maybe I'm doing a little too fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notice that D note is on the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in the beginning of the song, that's the timing of that. Later on, it's going to change, and I'll get to that. And then he goes into his little riff where he's singing with it, and I believe he's doing that in this position up here. So is the first, and then the part going down break it all apart, it's that hammer on. And you might even do on one of them, right? But it's or is what I believe he's doing. But it's all quick. Again. All right, so that's that whole part. And you know, this D note, when you do that, sometimes you hit it clean, and sometimes you hit it with, you hit those two. He gets that on a couple times. All right, so now we go into our first interesting of our jazzy chords. And you launch into it with that. All right, so I was today years old when I learned that these jazzy chords are called, wait for it, 6/9 chords. You may already have known that. I never knew that. 6/9 chords. So the song's called If 6 Was 9. Gotta have something to do with it, right? But there's 6/9 chords all through here. And that's going to include the chord that we're going to start off with here. And before I go into that, I want to give you the sort of positions of what 6/9 chords are in general, okay? There's 3 or 4 formations or voicings that show up here in the song. Let me just do them all right now. So this first one, the first position or the first variation of a 6/9 chord, let's just look at the strings 4 through 1. Think of it as a G root, right? You have a major third, you have a 6th, and you have a 9 added on. So if this was your G, just think of adding this on as the 6th, and then you're also adding on that note there, which makes it a 6/9. There's one more thing that Jimmy does that I'm going to talk about in a minute, but let's just go through the shape. So that's one shape of a 6/9 chord, based in G. Here's another shape of a 6/9 chord that's based in G. It's when the root is on the 5th string. So that one, the root was on the 4th string. When the root's on the 5th string, this is the shape. Okay, that shape's going to show up later. And then when the root is on the 6th string, this is what the shape is. Whoops. When it's all the way up there. Right? So the 3 shapes are this. That's when it's off of the 4th string. That's when it's off of the 5th string. And that's when it's off the 6th string. Just all based in G for this example. Okay, so back to the lesson. So this first chord that he hits, what Jimmy does on this shape is he adds on his thumb over, and he adds the thumb over on the same fret that 3 of the fingers are going across, right? Which is actually, if you think of the D, that 4th string as the root, he's thumbing over 2 frets up from the root, a step up, in this case A. And that makes sense because you're also doing an A down here. So he's doing an A, 9 on the bottom and on the top. Okay, so if you want to think of this in terms of being a root on the G, That's Jimi's version of a 6/9 chord, a G 6/9 chord. Okay, so that's the first chord. Just slide it down 2 frets. One more fret. One more fret, and now you got to pick up your index finger to get that open G string down to an E. Right? So coming back to that part. That's what that is. Love it. Very cool. But again, 6/9 chord with the thumb over. Who knew? So that's how you get into that. And then he does more Jimmy jamming. And then he does this. Right? Before we were doing a single note. So he does a chord version of it. It's just he's hitting it open and he just lays his E chord on. Like that. Finishes it off with that little guy at the end. So that whole sequence real quick. Light touch on that, but so that gets you into the next verse. Okay, so now we're going to kick it up a notch on the next verse. So he does a little stab, that little E7th. He might actually have the Jimmy note in there, but definitely that. And it's power chord. Hits that again. Again. All right, so that's the verse formation, just beautiful. All right, so then it moves into this just great little jam. It starts off silent and it builds, right? Right, just jamming off of that E chord down there. Right, 2nd fret, 5th, 4th, and 3rd string and open. Gets up there. That unison. Again, he's just doing that while he's singing. Builds. All right, and then we get into our beautiful guitar solo part. We're going to get the exact same chord shape, that 6/9 chord shape now. It's up here on the 8th fret is where you're thumbing over, right? And let me just actually break down or walk through the chords in this whole section, because it sort of alternates. It goes to that 6/9 there, and then it comes to an E 6/9, and I believe it's this shape where it's rooted on the 5th string. And I don't. It's more like you hear that note than that note, but so I believe it's there. It could also be all the way down here. Sounds like it could be an open chord too, but I like playing it up here. Right? All right, so that first chord again was back to E. 2 measures of each. Then it goes down to the chords that we had earlier, down here on the 5th fret for 1 measure, 1 measure, back to our E again for 2 measures. And again, could be this one. Now you repeat, back to that C-based. And then we're going to resolve to a B. It's going to end up on a B. But he does a lot of crazy stuff before he lands on the actual B major. And it's very difficult to sort of parse that out. There's parts of it that you can get. And if someone has a better breakdown that they could point to, leave it in the comments. It's great. But the first thing that I hear is this B minor 7. And then he slides up and does this little thing that's very characteristic of Jimi. Very like Little Wing, right? He slides his finger up here. And then he just noodles, and here's where it's sort of very difficult because everything is swirling around, it's being panned left to right, all the guitars and all the other sounds that are going on. But there's a little bit of, he sort of settles on that to the B. Right? So that sort of part all together, when you come into that, like I said, some of that might be wrong, but when you get to that part, but I know there's some of those notes are in there. But the first part, pretty confident about that. There's some noodling there. Then it resolves to this, then this. And I think it is all the way, I think it's all up here. Just when I've seen him play a ton, he finds a spot and he just milks everything he can out of that spot. My personal opinion. All right. Okay, so we're going to talk about the solo in just a little minute. Let me finish off sort of the chords that are left now. So from this point on, it goes back into that breakdown again, or a little bit different breakdown, and that's at a different timing now. So before it was, remember we had our 8 count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Oh, again, doing it too fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what it was. So now the note that lands on the 1 is the E of that 2-note phrase. So before this was the 1, now this is going to be on the 1. So then in the context of the 8 count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get the idea. Yeah, that's the only change up. And he plays with the dynamics. He gets super quiet. Right? And then comes this glorious outro. So the outro section, chords, are still going to make use of some of those 6/9s, but it's also going to branch out into some other stuff. So he opens up with a very, to me, it sounds like it's down here. And it could be just a straight E, but I think think it's the 6/9 down here. And what he's going to move to is, and again, everything's swirling, so it's difficult to suss it all out, but he's going to play down here in the first position for a while, and then he's going to mimic it and change up something, and he's going to play it up here in the above the 12th fret. But basically the things that he's doing is this 6/9 E, like an F sharp minor 7, but you keep that E, slide up 2 frets, back down, goes around a couple, sounds like it's down there to me. And then he changes that E up. He changes it to an E major 7. There's a couple different ways that you can play that voicing. So you're just flattening the top end E note. Is one voicing. And then we're going to repeat that same shape that we did down low for the other 2 chords. And that shape allows you to do all the Jimmy thing. All right, and then here's another E major 7 option. Here's another E major 7 option. Which is nice, right with this. Just bouncing back and forth. Okay, so that's with all the Jimminess thrown in there, those are the chord shapes on this song. You know, he might, like I said, you know, pick your poison on which version of E 6/9. You can do that one. You can do that one. Just make it a pretty sounding E. But he's going into the land of soft major 7 and pretty chords. Okay, with that, let's now talk about the solo. All right, so the main difference on the guitar solo in terms of sound is the delay. He's got what I'm sure is a tape echo delay, like an Echoplex or something like that. And the repeats on those are just very crisp and a lot of treble to them, so you can just really hear it, and much more exaggerated, and they go on for longer than the sort of mini slapback that you had on the other part. But you got that going on, and it's somewhat in time, I think, with the song. It's sort of at an 8th note or a 16th note, matching sort of the time of the measure, as far as I can tell. But I like to move to the neck pickup for this, for me. But what I found out was very refreshing, because when you listen to the solo, or when I listen to the solo on the song, I'm like, wow, what the hell is he doing? That sounds so magnificent. It's some crazy scale I've never heard of before. And when you sit down with it, it's actually not. It's actually straight up major scale. And it just blew me away when you do that. So he plays a little bit of C major scale, and then the rest of it is just straight up E major scale, as far as I could tell. And against all the crazy 6/9 chords and everything that's going on, you know, it sounds the way it sounds. It's just so great. So coming back to our guitar solo part, so you remember the first chord that we hit, the first 6/9 chord is based at that, with that low C on it. So what he does on his solo is he's going to come up here, and it's just like it's sort of like a major pentatonic thing. Jimmy loves doing hammer-ons, 2 frets away. But it's just right here. Major scale. Or major pentatonic, I think. Right? It's all right there. And it's accentuated with the delays, so he's not sort of doing as many flutters as you think. The delays do a lot of it. But so that's the first part. All right, so that part was over the C. And then over the E, which is your resolving, right? The C bass thing is doing the tension, and coming back to your E now is the release. Again, straight up major scale, so it's just picking where he's playing it when you listen to that riff. So the first one, to my ear, feels like it's there because he's going to slide down to this position. And if you're up here, you could do it up there, but this first little bit, he does that little pull up. I'll have all this tabbed out correct. I'm just showing you sort of placement and roundabout what those riffs are. Beautiful. Back to your C. And then this is where he's just doing all that stuff going on during that C now. So now when he's going back to that C chord, he's not playing C major anymore. He's just doing that stuff. Again, just living on E major. So find the places where you can do the little flutters. Back now to your this. Right. Back to your, when it's doing that B thing. Again, it's still all E major. And then he ends with a and then you're back. Right? Isn't that great? So yeah, it's E major, C major for that first little one, and then it's E major on all the rest. Play it in that position. Right? Then on the outro, on those pretty chords, it's more of the same E. Climbs up. And all the other stuff, and the flute comes in. But that's it. So just a great piece of work, super creative, and probably better if you're a little high. But there you go. So that was If 6 Was 9 by Jimi Hendrix. And I hope you learned something new today. If you like what you saw and you haven't done so yet, jump down and click subscribe. It helps me out. Ring the bell. And let me know in the comments what you thought about this. And if there's another song you want me to take on and do a lesson similar, let me know what that is too. I'd love to hear that. So until next week, take care, everybody.